HQ presented by Capital One. This season is a treat in college football because I think we have a great bottom. Like, we have some of the worst teams we've ever seen before. And we're not showing you the worst teams. We're showing you some of the worst plays. There are 10 or 15 teams this year that could be the worst team in the country any given year. And they're all putting it together this year. Tom Fornelli, most recently a couple of weeks ago, came on, gave his bottom five. Iowa's won 2 straight since then. They haven't really played anybody.
Maybe that's the key.
Oregon has done some things. Middle Tennessee beat Miami. Middle Tennessee was in the bottom 5 and they beat Miami. So where does that leave Miami this year? Let's find out this week, I guess I should say. Tom Fornelli joins us now. And Tom, we're going to start from 5 and work our way down. Your number 5 team actually sits atop its own division, albeit maybe the worst division in football.
Yeah, it's the Northwestern Wildcats, who, I don't know if you saw the news earlier this week, Chris. They announced that they are planning to build a new stadium. Mm-hmm. Right now, they plan to tear down Ryan Field where it is and build a new stadium on top of it. I think that's great, but I think if I'm Northwestern, I would reconsider and build my new stadium in Ireland, because that seems to be the only place I'm capable of winning a football game right now. They opened the year with the Week 0 win against Nebraska, a game that eventually helped lead to Scott Frost losing his job. And then they've come back to the United States, played 3 straight home games, and lost all 3. We saw them lose to Duke. Last week, we saw them lose to Southern Illinois, and you thought, it can't get any worse than losing to a Southern Illinois team from the FCS, the Missouri Valley. Turns out it can. They lost at home last weekend to Miami of Ohio, a team from the MAC. Then Miami, as you can see, took to Twitter with the graphic declaring themselves Chicago's MAC team. So now the Wildcats are 1-3 on the season. And it's funny because on the Cover 3 podcast, we do our preseason win totals before the season starts. Northwestern's win total was at 3.5. I took the under on it because my thought at the time was, they'll go 3-0 in non-conference. The question will be, can they win a Big Ten game?
And it's the opposite.
So far, they've won the only Big Ten game they've played and lost every single one of their non-con games. So, yeah, the Wildcats are at number 5 this week in our bottom 5.
They probably won't win many more Big Ten games because they only get to play Nebraska once. This week, they play Penn State, and they're nearly 4-touchdown underdogs. Speaking of number 4, the number 4 team, you talk about going from bad to worse. Boise State loses a game to UTEP, and then the quarterback says, see ya, transfer portal midseason. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like, it's one thing to lose to UTEP, which is a program that has been, it was terrible for a few years. It has won a couple bottom 25 championships in its history, but last year it got to a bowl game. This year it's looking a little friskier, but they held Boise State to 10 points. Like, that is a problem, and that's not something new because this Boise State offense all season long has been struggling. They're averaging only 22 points per game, and as you would expect after managing only 10 against the Miners, offensive coordinator Tim Plough was fired after the game, and apparently, like you just alluded to, that didn't sit well with the team's starting quarterback, Hank Bachmeier, who shortly after Boise fired its offensive coordinator, announced he was entering the transfer portal. Now, I don't know if we have a ton of data on this because the transfer portal has only existed for a few years, but my belief is if you fire your offensive coordinator and then your starting quarterback enters the transfer portal during the first month of the season, things probably aren't going to go very well. They're definitely not going well for you right now. And while things maybe get better in the long term, right now, Boise State, it's not looking good. You were at number 4 in the bottom 5.
They've got San Diego State on Friday. Did you watch the Warner SFA game last weekend that ended 98-0? Did you see that?
Yeah. And I think Warner or SFA took its foot off the gas at the end there. They could have gone for 100 and they let us down, yeah.
They were up 98-0 and they brought the offense out for a 2-point conversion. We thought they were going for 100 and they just took a snap and kneed it. So it was 98-0. Our number 3 team didn't lose quite that bad, but pretty damn close.
Yeah. Florida International lost to Western Kentucky 73-0 in a game between, again, FCS or FBS programs. Like that SFA Wagner game, that's an FCS game. Those are different divisions. things can get out of hand. When you lose 73-0 in your FBS program, that is not great. And as you can see, the biggest losses in FBS matches since 2017. 73, that's a lot. To make it even worse, if you look at situations like that where teams not only lose by that many points, but get shut out in the process, the last time we saw a final score resembling this 73-0 game was in 2016 when Michigan beat Rutgers 78-0. And frankly, if you're doing anything that Rutgers has done on the football field, it's usually not a good sign. FIU allowed 690 yards in the game. It's the most yards Western Kentucky had in a single game since the 2014 season, but it's only the most yards FIU allowed since last year when it gave up 704 to rival Florida Atlantic. So at least the Panthers, they're in familiar territory here this week. Let's put it that way.
And congratulations to New Mexico State, because not only are they not in your bottom 5 this week, they're actually a 2-touchdown favorite against FIU. That's how bad FIU is. At number 2, I thought you had a chance for a rare twofer here, because I see that you picked one team from Colorado, but not the other, who you could argue is just as bad.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Colorado State right now, though, because while the Buffaloes are certainly one of the worst teams in the country, I want to save them for later in the season because I'm pretty sure they'll be sticking around. But Colorado State earns it this week because they lost last week to Sacramento State 41-10. Like, we see teams losing to FCS programs usually early in the season on a regular basis. You don't tend to see them losing games to them 41-10. In all due respect to Sacramento State, it did split the Big Sky Conference title last year, so it's not like it's just some FCS nobody. It is a decent program. But still, 41-10. You're an FBS program. It's the biggest loss by an FBS school to an FCS team since Western Illinois beat Coastal Carolina 52-10 in the 2017 season. The difference is Coastal in 2017 was in its first year as an FBS member. Colorado State's been an FBS school since 1902. So they should not be at that stage where they are losing games like this, two teams like this, by a margin like that. The Rams are... It's a rough transition. Jay Norvell left Nevada to take over this program because he thinks it has a higher ceiling in the Mountain West, but it's got a long way to go to reach that ceiling right now.
Yeah, I don't get it. I mean, they've got a beautiful new stadium. It's a great college campus, and Colorado is, as we said, just as bad. I'm sure we'll be talking about them a little bit later. All right, we have reached your worst team of the week. Who is it, Tom?
Yeah, we saw the last time we got together to do this, Chris, Middle Tennessee was at number 5 in our rankings. Well, Middle Tennessee is no longer ranked here because they beat Miami 45-31 last week, and that throws Miami from unranked right to the number 1 spot in our bottom 5. The Miami Hurricanes, by the way, have now gone 0-3 all time versus Middle Tennessee. So maybe we should have seen this coming, and maybe we are being unfair to the Hurricanes, who are traditional underdogs against the Blue Raiders from Murfreesboro. But this is not, unfortunately, a new trend for the Canes, who have struggled in recent years against the Group of 5. For a team that likes to consider itself back, a team that wants to consider itself a contender in the ACC, somebody who's going to compete for college football playoff berths and get back to the days of the dynasties and the national titles, you should probably be doing better than 16-6 against Group of 5 teams since 2010. You should also probably stop scheduling teams from Conference USA because they have been kicking your butt in recent years. It's not just Western Kentucky. FIU, who we've also got on this list just a few teams ago, has beaten Miami the last time they played them. So Miami, I think you're going in the right direction. I think Mario Cristobal is doing a great job recruiting, and I think you're going to start winning more games. But the next step, stop scheduling Conference USA. It does not go your way.
It's like when you're a kid and you pee your pants and you're at school, you just have to sit in it because they're off this week. They have to sit in this for the next week before they get to return to action against North Carolina.
Oh,
did you like that analogy?
Chris, you could have just asked your teacher to let you go to the bathroom.
Yeah,
I was hiding it. I was trying to hide it, but unfortunately I was wearing khakis, and it showed up in the khakis. Tom Fornelli giving us the bottom 5 teams in college football this week, and here they are. Northwestern, 1-0 in Big Ten play.
You're on a heater today, buddy.
Yeah,
you're feeling it today.
That Judge home run last night really got me fired up.
It did.
I think if we're talking worst teams in the country, I'm not sure you could convince me anybody's worse than FIU.
It's fair.
Don't think anybody's worse than them. But Colorado State and Miami, Tom says, this week, y'all.
Do you want a sports network that delivers everything that matters about the game? The highlights, the picks, the instant analysis, no yelling, no fake debates, no politics. Hit the subscribe button and never miss a moment.